employers need help as well. Senior managers, line managers, return to work coordinators, injury managers, HR managers, they actually need an understanding of the evidence and help to work out the systems and strategies that can assist people. Many employers are struggling with how to deal with this and also the cost impacts for them.
Welcome back to Studio PIEF. We are delighted to be joined by Dr Mary Wyatt and Michael Walsh from GIO. They're just fresh off the stage talking about a new initiative to introduce a standard for work injury management. Dr Wyatt, could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the question. So we know workplaces play a huge role in what happens to someone after a work injury. Through It Pays to Care, we've been talking a lot about this and the important role of the workplace. Workplaces make a huge difference to what happens. And it's not just coming back to work after an injury. How people get treated has a huge impact on productivity, morale in the workplace, staff turnover. And so there's such value in workplaces understanding this and putting in place good systems. This is a small initiative to try and foster workplaces understanding how much control they have and how much influence they have on what happens to people after a work injury.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah.
Wyatt. And I'm very always curious when you use the word small. Uh, I don't think introducing a national standard for assisting workplaces in helping people return to work against, something that they could measure and something that they can tangibly hold on to. I don't think that's small, but I'm keen to know what you think is high value or high effort. And how do you come up with how you might partner to make this come to life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we saw the gap that there is no standard in Australia, despite having health and safety standards for over 20 years, and coming to an event like this where there's over 900 people that have great industry expertise, so it really is a stakeholder project. It's a stakeholder collaboration project, and bringing those right stakeholders together, be it employer bodies, research bodies, employers, insurers, worker bodies, to come up with those elements, to further develop those elements. I think we're not going to come to a solution by one person alone or one company alone or one industry alone. It has to be a cross-functional collaboration in that regard.
We do have at iCare some experience with establishing standards when there aren't any, and it's always quite a confounding thing because you think, but we have such a high duty of care. How can it be possible that there is a gap like this that exists?
Yeah.
But quite often there are, and because we are leaders with purpose,
Yep.
we do come together collaboratively to see how we can further these sorts of initiatives for the betterment of those that we serve. There are some that might say, actually, this is too big a task, and the intricacies across different workplaces make it so that a standard might not be possible, it might not be applicable. What would you say to a challenge like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think where it comes down to, it's really coming to understanding what the consensus is and going back to the research ultimately. And that's what really underpins looking at this standard, is the research that we have, looking at the commonality across states and territories rather than looking at the differences. What are the commonality points and how can that be embedded across Australia? So it's really those, I think that's a starting point, and then working on, well, what are those, how can we further develop that commonality across Australia?
100%. And there's those guiding principles, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And those guided points, worker-centric approach, that's, a lot of the Pays to Care research adopts, it takes into account. And that's really a guiding principle, and looking at also how organisations can further continuously improve. When it comes to management systems, having a policy and process in place, but how do you evaluate and develop it further as your organisation grows, as you would safety management system? Can you look to do the same at an injury management level as well? So, yeah, having that ability.
And it's currently being put together and developed at the moment, and you're looking to present this for endorsement. Is there any sort of trajectory that you're looking for timeline?
Yeah, so where we are now is partnering with Standards Australia. So once it goes through to Standards Australia, they will then take over almost
Yes.
to help further with the technical committee and going out for further public consultation. So what we're trying to do is getting interested parties, aware of it now, but also getting them to come on board to share and provide information that can help further support. So we'll provide that to Standards Australia when they are take this from a technical committee point, and then further from there, hopefully put some more meat on the bone, so to speak, when it comes to that standard.
It's just fantastic. And Dr. White, I've been a massive fan of your work and your research for a very long time, and just your passion and your real want for servant leadership and making sure that we really understand and deal with people as people. It's
Yes.
really at the core of your messaging.
Yes.
And I can see that through this initiative, you're hoping to not just take that messaging to us as industry, but the other side of that mirror of those who are our employers, and that really partnering with us to make sure that journey to recovery is a successful one.
Absolutely. Employers need help as well. Senior managers, line managers, return to work coordinators, injury managers, HR managers, they actually need an understanding of the evidence and help to work out the systems and strategies that can assist people. Many employers are struggling with how to deal with this and also the cost impacts for them. We talk about the direct costs and premium, but the indirect costs are enormous. And then comes the issues of retaining good staff and of the many issues, and it is difficult for many employers. So we want to help them as well as the people who've experienced the injury at a time when they need that assistance. And what we've experienced over the last couple of years has really been a thirst for collaboration and improvement. Like yourself, you've been contributing in many ways to the industry. And there's a lot of people who want to see the industry develop, but it does really require overcoming barriers and action to create change. And that's the challenge.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
And taking traction to action.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah,
Well
is it-
said.
Yeah. And how can people become involved? You have mentioned a technical committee. How can
Yeah.
people get involved?
So where we are now is obviously, putting that to to Standards Australia as a submission. So we have got some great endorsements already, and of support. WorkCover WA was one of the first ones to come on board. With endorsing this process. So, and we've had some great consultation with ARPA as well, ICA. We've had some WorkCover Queensland. So some really great bodies coming together. Going through to the Pace to Care website, we want to know more. So definitely reach out to your Pace to Care website, and if you are interested, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to also put those elements in to provide that to Standards Australia as well. So if they do take that forward and further then develop that technical committee, they've already got a lot of those bodies that are interested that can help hopefully develop it further.
Well, this has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, your insights, your opportunities to collaborate.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.